Hi guys, Jasmo here and welcome to this guide, which is going to be all about Leaguestart as arc mines or ball lightning mines. This is a start for a Shadow Saboteur. I'm going to commentate over the entire run, which goes from the very beginning of the game. This is in solo self-found standard. It's completely reset, so it's like a fresh start. To simulate a league start, and we're gonna go until Blood Aqueducts, and from Blood Aqueducts you should know more or less, like your build should more or less be like functional, and you would be preparing for maps, right, getting yourself up in Blood Aqueducts and then finishing the acts. But that's easy. The point is, like, you can grind and farm a little bit of chaos recipe. You can maybe found yourself tremor rod, for example, by finding like the tabula cards and selling them and getting your tremor rod, so that you can just have a much better start to the maps. But as you can see, I'm gonna try to do this pretty efficiently, and that's why, like, whenever I can, I'm using the like racing / speedrunning techniques that people use just to be a little bit faster. We have a bunch of wisdom scrolls here, so that's nice, and we're looking immediately for blue green and blue green. That's the minimum that we need, right? We need blue for Arcane Surge with Frost Blink. We need blue green for Stormblast Mine and Lesser Poison, and also Swift Assembly, and we need another blue green for the Frost Bomb as well as Onslaught. Those are like the minimum things you need, right? Blue green and blue green. Ideally you will get double blue green, because you want to put something like Onslaught with the Frost Bomb as well as the Orb of Storms early on, and then you also want to put your what is it called, the Stormblast Mine with the Swift Assembly, and then like added lightning, for example, early on. That's pretty good. You can also put added lightning on Orb of Storms. You can mix and match in a lot of different ways. There are multiple ways that I see people running it, and I watch a lot of racers who are leveling with this kind of setup and preparing for the league start, and I've seen a lot of variety. So I'm trying to like explain all of the different options, right? Because you might find certain links and not the others, so it also depends. Sometimes you have to adjust. Sometimes you will find early green blue, and that's great because you can run Stormblast Mine, Swift Assembly, Lesser Poison, and that's gonna give you a lot of early damage. This at this point you basically want to run into the mud flats, because you're not level 3 yet. You want to make sure that after Hellrake, where you're going to be logging out and talking to NPCs in town, you're going to be level 3, so that's why you go here first. You're probably going to have to kill some monsters that are standing in your way, like here. And if I went to open the Roa nest, the Roas would get enraged and charge me, and it would be really hard to click the item that comes out of the nest. So that's why you end up killing monsters here. And then in the next zone, of course, Hellrake, and that should put you to level 3, and that means the shops reset. Every time you level, the shops are reset, and you can basically get new items. And what you're checking for is movement speed boots early on, as well as the necessary links that you want. And from here, you don't want to go to town. You go from this waypoint straight to the previous waypoint on the coast and go to the tidal island. I also bind, as you can see, my movement move only command to T and D. Those are the keys I use when I'm like holding items and pressing them on the screen, so that I don't drop the item, but I can still do the movement command in between moving my items in the inventory. I definitely recommend learning how to do that. You can also use these keys, these move only commands, on your keyboard if you are in your passive skill tree. So you can open your passive skill tree, look where you're supposed to go, move a little bit with the move only command on your keyboard, and then allocate the point and then get out of that. I have a filter that highlights, and a lot of people have been asking for my filter. It's not public currently, but I recommend just using the semi-strict filter from Filter Blade, or you can use Tai Killer's filter. He has them on his Discord. I might make mine available before the league start. I might not. I haven't decided on that yet. Still working on them a bunch. We get blue wand, so that's a decent one to pick up. But it's not necessary, because the thing is, I need 3 scrolls of wisdom for all the gems, and I prioritize the gems. I mean, I didn't have to pick up the Swift Assembly because I don't have green, blue, but I would probably still put Swift Assembly instead of the Lesser Poison. But the reason why I want to prioritize the skills is because I want to have the Frost Bomb and Arcane Surge early on, because if I buy Arcane Surge, like I level up and then buy Arcane Surge later, it's gonna be higher level and it's not gonna proc necessarily on every Frost Blink, right? So I definitely want to make sure that I have Arcane Surge at as low level as possible. While running here, I'm trying to already put some gems that I can into the appropriate sockets, so that would be the Arcane Surge as well as the Onslaught. And now that I leveled up, then I'm gonna put the Frost Bomb, Orb of Storms, and Frost Blink. When you see this bridge, that means you are heading toward the exit, so you wanna leave a portal, and then later, before Brutus, like when we get to Lower Prison, we're gonna use that portal to come back. You just have to make sure that you're not logging out. If you log out, if you go to character screen, your portal is going to disappear, and you're gonna have to rerun this zone, which you don't wanna do. Probably overkilling the monsters here. They are pretty much like standing in my way, so I kind of have to kill them. Could, I guess, Frost Blink, but I didn't put Frost Blink into my sockets yet. I'm doing it just now. And now we have Frost Blink. Frost Blink has the highest mana cost, so that's why you want it with the Arcane Surge. And I usually make it like once the Frost Bomb at the very beginning doesn't kill by itself, so you have to also Frost Blink through the monsters. But what you want to do is usually when the Frost Bomb starts one-shotting, like probably right now when I pick up this next passive skill point, you basically drop the Frost Bomb at the skeletons. The skeletal archers have the highest XP in this zone, so that's what you want to prioritize, skeletal archers. Pretty much in every zone early on, the skeletal archers have more XP than the melee. For some reason, archers just gives more XP. So you want to drop a Frost Bomb and let the Frost Bomb blow up a pack, and then on the next pack you're running through, you want to drop Orb of Storms and then Frost Blink through that pack so that you take them low, and then you have the Orb of Storms. As you can see, I'm using Onslaught on both, right? And here you go, you can see how I get Onslaught from just dropping that pack on the archers, and it blows them up at this point. The cool thing about this setup is that you can kind of switch your gems around depending on what you need, and I recently prefer running Onslaught on both the Orb of Storms and Frost Bomb. I find that I have a little bit higher uptime on the Onslaught that way. You could also put like Onslaught with, I guess, Frost Bomb and Frost Blink, but I like the Arcane Surge that procs from it as well. Sometimes I kill Kuduku if I have like really low currency, but I think I found a couple transmutes by now, so I'm not really worried about that. What you're aiming for is to find at least one transmute or a magic wand with decent links, and at least one alteration orb, as well as you will need Iron Ring and your skill gem, one of your skill gems, or you will need basically Sapphire or Topaz Ring. Early on, some people say that the Wandcraft with Cold is better. It kind of is. It doesn't really matter that much, but I think it is for the Frostbomb one-shotting. It will probably one-shot a couple more monsters during the run if you use the Cold Craft. But so the Wand Craft is basically a magic wand, which you either get a magic wand or you use a transmutation on it, with Alteration Orb with a Resistance Ring. Together, you will give that to the vendor, and it will give you back added damage to spells wand, which is very powerful because you're hitting with spells very often with the Mines and Orb of Storms. so you end up dealing massive amounts of damage. We're gonna free Navali. I was trying to get the fawn to jump to me because it sometimes jumps to you, but for some reason he was at such a long distance and he was not jumping to me, so I ended up wasting all of mines, and now he jumped to me. This was a very, very annoying fight, and it took 3 years because he didn't jump to me, because normally if you spam mines on him, he ends up killing them, so you need to like either spam them behind him or you need him to move a little bit so he can like stand to the side. So you want to pick up all magic and rare items in the beginning. You sell magic items unidentified and you should end up getting a transmutation, and you sell identified rare items. They will give you more alteration shards, and with alteration orb and transmutation orb you can get that. Going to the submerged passage, because if I had like full inventory and I really needed the currency, I would probably sell the items before going to submerged passage to the flooded depths, but I just end up going here first, and I still will have enough space in the inventory. As you can see, I'm doing a little bit of inventory Tetris just to fit another large item and another like a medium square item if the Dweller of the Deep drops them, because I definitely want the currency for the wand craft. The wand craft has a requirement level 8. If you do it after Brutus, that's fine. That probably means you're picking up less items or going fast, and that's perfectly fine. I like doing it before Brutus. It makes the Brutus fight just so fast and easy. You don't have to think about it, and it just feels really good to have that damage early on. We get Iron Ring. That is amazing because that means we don't have to spend 3 scrolls of wisdom to buy a ring, because that's what they normally cost early on. We pick up added lightning. We sell these items. Make sure that you get an alteration. If you do not get an alteration, you need to identify more items. So I identified this helmet to check. Now I get an alteration. We get extra scrolls of wisdom. So we're perfectly fine here. Yeah, I sold this. I would identify it normally if I didn't have an alteration, but I already do, so I'm good. So we sell the iron ring with the skill gem, and then we make sure that we find good base wand. So you want a wand that will have the right length. So blue, green is pretty much the best thing you can get. Blue is also fine. We make it magic, and then we sell that wand together with an alteration and a resistance ring for the wand with added damage. And if it's a lightning res, then it's gonna give you lightning damage. Lightning damage has the higher top end value that you can deal with that damage, but it has the lower low end, right? So it's less consistent but higher potential damage. Cold is more consistent and does slightly more damage with the frost bomb. But the thing is, we would have to spend another scroll of wisdom on a blue gem, because we naturally don't have a spare blue gem. A witch has a spare blue gem in the form of like a freezing pulse or something like that. We have a spare green gem because, or a fireball, right? And we have a spare green gem because we have that viper strike from the beginning, and then lesser poison all of the time. Essences are very important. Hatred gives you like cold res, but the more important thing is that you need at least 2 essences or 2 alchemy orbs or alchem essence before you are level 20 for the level 20 craft, right? So just like we made a craft here at level 8, usually you want to make one at level 8, and then you want to save your resources and make 2 crafts at level 20, because at level 20 you can equip the wand craft that uses rare resistance rings. All of the things are the same, just magic wand, preferably as high base as you can, so that you can have good implicit increased spell damage. And then you add alteration and a resistance ring, which the best would be topaz ring, because you want added lightning damage for multiple reasons, such as wave of conviction and scaling and so on, and I'll talk about that later as well. But you do that with the rare rings to get the level 20 craft, and you craft 2 ones like that, and they carry you until basically the blood aqueducts. Very easy. You know, in blood aqueducts you should probably be able to find a better wand and also like craft it on top of that. So we are level 10 right now, which is the level that I like fighting Brutus at. It's very comfortable because you get all the nice big power spike from the passive skill tree, and as you can see, we find a fusing. You don't want to use unless you get like a GG item, unless you get like, I don't know, boots with 3 sockets of the right color and they have like 15% move speed, life res. Okay, use a fusing on that because you're gonna wear those boots forever. But if you don't have like a really good item, then save your fusings for later for the actual important items. Trying to find Brutus now. Still using the same skills at level 10. If you kill Brutus at level 10, or like get level 10 from killing Brutus, then straight after that you're gonna be able to use your new movement skills, which are going to be the Flame Dash and Smoke Mine. At this point, when I'm running through this zone, I like setting my skills at attack without moving only, because that means I can very comfortably like pre-stack mines and my character won't move forward. You can like max range throw mines at Brutus. I've seen some people stacking Brutus, some people not. I definitely prefer pre-stacking Brutus. It makes the fight way easier. Like he just takes like half of his health, disappears immediately, even though he gets like some damage resistance. But he does move a little bit. As you can see, like I'm gonna stack the mines now, and then he's gonna move forward, and then I detonate the mines. So he loses some of the damage resistance, and he's at half health immediately, like below half, right? So that's why on this boss, it's actually important to pre-stack, in my opinion. It's on some other bosses you don't pre-stack, or at least you wanna wait a little bit before you detonate, because whenever bosses become targetable, they have like this initial damage resistance that goes down over time for like the first couple seconds, you know. So you want to do it like this. Should have probably kept the wands and put them in my offhand. It's very useful to have like blue green and blue wands in your offhand, so that you can level additional skills that you're not going to be using now. Like for example, if you get an extra currency, you could get like added cold and have that to swap in instead of like trap and mine damage or swift assembly for when you meet porcupines or something like that, right? So that's something very useful. We do switch the frost blink for the flame dash right now, and we're gonna be using also smoke mine. So experiment with your hotkeys, check which hotkeys work best for you. I personally have I'm using my right hand on the keyboard, so it's a bit different, right? But basically I'm using my smoke mine with not the pinky finger, but like the fourth finger, you know. I'm using it on R. So for you it would be like Q. Like imagine, okay, if you have a left hand on the keyboard like a normal person, you would like use Q with the smoke mine, and then F to detonate, and then like W to flame dash, right? Something like that. So that's how I prefer using them, and it allows me to do the smoke mine flame dash combo very easily. Yeah, still using frost bomb and orb of storms, trying to have as much uptime on onslaught as possible. We don't need to kill much here. If you wanna prioritize killing anything and stop for a pack, then make sure it's a blue pack. Blue packs are good. This run I'm experimenting with like going for a bunch of like increased spell damage, increased lightning damage, and not going for much crit early on, because like there are different playstyles, there are different ways of playing this, and there's not that much difference, but overall I prefer like somehow heading toward clever construction first. That's the node that makes your mines indestructible, right? For the first like 5 seconds when you drop them. Wait, is this the crazy layout I got? I'm not sure if this is the run. I would have to like rewind it because I skipped it because I was talking. I missed it, but there I had a crazy layout where I found this cave immediately after the entrance and together with the waypoint. It's like the quickest layout I've ever seen. However, I still hate the ship graveyard cave with passion. This is such an annoying zone. You just straight up walk into dead end after dead end after dead end, you know? Even though it's such a little dead end, it's still annoying because you end up walking into so many of them. So yeah, this is the zone. Look at this crazy zone, like entrance, waypoint, cave, Fairgraves. Like the zone is so tiny it could fit in a town, you know? On Fairgraves, what you want to do is put your Orb of Storms as far as deep as possible, and put winter frost bomb a little bit deeper, and then you basically stack the mines and never detonate them, and then Fairgraves appears, you detonate the mines and he dies in one hit. So that's how you want to basically kill him. In this zone, these Roas give the most experience. So if you see a pack of these Roas, then prioritize killing that over the pirates or any other monsters, because they give actually more experience than other monsters. I found some, what is it, lightning res and life on this, and int, which is fine. Definitely want movement speed. I think I find maybe Chaos Orb and use it on it later. I asked some people said they would not use Chaos Orb. Depends what you're going for, right? If you care, you probably should not use a Chaos Orb on the boots, because you'll find movement speed boots anyway. But it does save you a little bit of time. If you have like boots with good links, definitely use like an alchemy orb or an early essence on them to try and get movement speed. That's definitely worth doing. But a Chaos Orb might not be worth doing. Killing a bit of extra monsters for some currency. This is a nice wand, so I already replaced this. I immediately replaced this, got some increased spell damage, so that's nice. And also, this is a good enough base for a level 20 craft. So I would definitely be happy crafting the level 20 recipe wand on this one. This is a very, very, very good base for that. Usually like the Act 2 bases, that you get from the vendor are really good. Like I think Quartz wand is like the best one you can equip. It's like level 17 or 18 requirements, something like that, and that's the one I like crafting on the most. But of course you're never gonna find them like every single time, and you should prioritize links, because that's the most important thing, and wands pretty much you want to change for a long time. And after the wand craft, you're gonna craft resistances as well on them, so they're gonna stay with you for a while. We got Cavern of Anger, trying to just find the entrance to the Merveil as quickly as possible. At this point, there is not much you can do in terms of like boosting your damage beyond just having 3-link Stormblast Mine. The highest damage you could have is probably something like Orb of Storms with added lightning damage, and then you would have Stormblast Mine with Swift Assembly and with lesser poison, right? So that would be like your most damaging setup. For Merveil, pre-stacking is not that important. She has a lot of health anyway. She has the energy shield and big resistance early on, so it's hard to nuke her early on. What you want to do is just make sure that you're sidestepping her like this, whatever this is, like these icicles that she shoots in front. She almost killed me here. It's very OP. Oh, she actually killed me. Yes, I remember this run. I had zero cold res, because I was like, who needs cold resistance rings? So if you're gonna play in hardcore, then make sure to get resistance rings. The way you get resistance rings, and I didn't get it because I'm just lazy, is by using you just need 3 scrolls of wisdom, and that's either an iron ring and a blue skill gem from for example your frost blink that you replaced, or it can be just a straight up sapphire ring that the vendor will sell. But with 0 cold res, this fight is very rippy, so you definitely want cold res. And if you don't have any, you want to be aware. I completely forgot that I had like no cold res, and I was like, oh shit, I just got one shot. So Southern Forest, you basically want to just blast through it, and you can do like a nice vendor walk from this act. So you want to pick up items here as well. If you see any magic items, you want to pick them up and identify them, because you're gonna need a couple of alteration orbs. Actually, you're gonna need like 4 in this act. 4 alteration orbs. 2 of them you're gonna need for the crafts, and 2 of them you're gonna need for the skills. So you're gonna need 1 of them for a herald skill, and you're gonna need 1 of them for Wave of Conviction. You don't necessarily need Wave of Conviction early on, but I find it extremely helpful, and you'll see, I guess, my Weaver damage, which is gonna be pretty huge, because I think I'm gonna be using Wave of Conviction because I did have enough alteration orbs. So as you can see, I'm identifying stuff here because I definitely want the I definitely want the alterations. The way you do a vendor walk, by the way, is it's all about timing. I have a video. If you like YouTube vendor walk, you'll find my video which basically explains it exactly and shows you an example of like a slow-mo that when and where to click. But what you want to do is you click on a vendor, and that works with anything you interact with it. You can do it with your stash, for example. You can do it with anything. So you click on the NPC, and then as your character reaches the NPC, like exactly when he reaches the NPC, and the NPC maybe, for example, turns toward you and whatever, you see like that little bit of pause bit before the animation, then you at this exact point you click away. So and you need to click away before the dialogue pops up, right? If you click after the dialogue pops up, it's gonna close it. This is another zone where you have skeletal archers, and skeletal archers give great XP, so that's what you want to prioritize with your frost bomb and anything else that you're killing. Taking this waypoint because I'm gonna log out after the den, but since I went like on the left side in the old fields and didn't find the den, then now I want to go on the right side, and my suspicion is that it's somewhere higher up on the right side. It's actually very annoying because it's like kind of in the middle on the right side, so no matter if I left a portal or if I went from the beginning of the zone, I would have to walk a little bit to get to it. But it's like a very annoying placement of the cave, because you would have to guess that it's on the right side because you have like this mountain in between that you cannot cross. So yeah, from the den you're gonna get the second Quicksilver, and that second Quicksilver is going to be magic. If it doesn't have a suffix, which means it says like, I don't know, chemist's Quicksilver. If you have something like that, a chemist would be great. If you have like chemist's Quicksilver but it doesn't say of something, that means it doesn't have a suffix. And you can also highlight with Alt. I don't know why I'm fighting this ghosted beast. If you highlight with Alt, like hold Alt and see like the advanced tooltips, you'll see if it has suffix or prefix or not. If it doesn't have a suffix, you can augment it and you can get potentially adrenaline. However, if you do not have movement speed boots yet, I would not augment, because you want 3 augments for the movement speed recipe. Before getting to Val, you'll have a recipe that gives you movement speed on boots, and it costs 3 augmentation orbs. If you have 3 already, then go ahead, spend your augments. However, make sure to not augment your wands. Even though your wands are gonna have no suffix and you can hit resist on it, what you wanna do is, after you get to your hideout, you wanna, I think it's like requirement level 16 or something, you craft with 1 transmutation orb 16 to 20 elemental resistances on your wands. And probably you're gonna prioritize lightning and fire, because those are the ones that are scary in Act 3. So we're selling all of the items that we don't need. Potentially could identify also the necklace. I'm checking because I want to get like scrolls of wisdom, because I need to also identify something. So I'm actually selling a transmute, because I don't need a transmute at this point, to basically identify more items and get another alteration, because I am going to need a bunch of alterations in this act. The skills that you buy for, like initially in the first act, you spend scrolls of wisdom on the initial first few skills, then you spend transmutations, and then in this act you spend alterations, and then later on you also spend orbs of chance. Orbs of chance are definitely very important to pick up, because also as you finish the story, you're gonna be able to buy some extra maps for them. As you can see, we are picking up lightning damage, because it will help us even with like so here's the thing, you can choose to go with Herald of Ice for later on. Herald of Thunder is better early on, but later you can choose to go with Herald of Ice. You can also go added cold on your mines. But the thing that I want to make sure is that my Wave of Conviction deals majority lightning damage. So Wave of Conviction deals 2 types of elemental damage, and whichever is higher, that's the exposure that it's gonna give. And basically what we want to make sure is that your Wave of Conviction deals highest damage as lightning, and so it's gonna give lightning exposure, which is -25 to elemental resistances for the monsters. And the way you do that is you have crafts on your wands that give you added lightning damage, and also you can pick up from the passive skill tree increased lightning damage, and that's how you ensure that your Wave of Conviction is gonna deal mostly lightning damage, and you're gonna have like guaranteed exposure to lightning. And later on there is a really cool setup I'll show you with a curse on hit conductivity, which makes it really amazing. We wanna do these trials. Trials are like the part of the game that I dislike the most. Trials are not so bad because it's just like one quick thing. However, the Uber trials are annoying because they're just long and tedious, but lab is, I really dislike lab. And in the new expansion we're getting some new, more rewarding lab, and I'm sure nobody sane is gonna run that. So this zone, I pretty much expected that it's gonna go up, but I wanted to make sure that it doesn't go down. Now thinking about it, that's pretty flawed logic, because if I suspect that it's going up, I should go up first, and because if I'm gonna check somewhere, then it's better to check somewhere where I think it's most likely. But yeah, since the trial, you can see on the layout, goes up, knowing what I know about map design, this goes up, because whenever the map spawns, it's like a square that it has to fill, right? So it wouldn't like have one little part going on its own in some crazy direction and then going completely opposite direction. They usually will try to fit a square, and you can see that in so many layouts. Like if you zoom out and see the entire layout of a map, you can look at it as it's kind of contained within a square and it's trying to fill as much of that square as possible. Killing Fidelitas. We get a green, blue, but at this point we don't care about that link because we have better ways of dealing damage. After we kill Weaver, we also get elemental focus, which is amazing damage for us. So you want to purchase here Herald, and if you have extra money you can purchase also Wave of Conviction, because you definitely want to use Wave of Conviction. It's so huge with the mines. So Herald of Thunder early on rather than Herald of Ice, and the Wave of Conviction, and of course Scarebots as a reward from the quest. So you need to make sure that you have enough sockets for that. You need extra blue sockets for everything, like three extra blue sockets that we picked up here. Also, Wave of Conviction is sitting right now together with Arcane Surge and what is it called? Not Frostblink. Flame Dash, right? So that means I'm also using Wave of Conviction to proc the Arcane Surge, which additionally boosts my damage, and I don't have to necessarily Flame Dash every single time while I'm fighting. So you can see how much damage it deals when I use Wave of Conviction. Like early on it's so massive. Basically what you want to do is you just drop your skills on regular monsters and don't worry about them that much. You're just gonna kill them with the Orb of Storms and Frost Bomb. But when it's like a rare monster or a whole magic pack, you might also Wave of Conviction, slap a Wave of Conviction on them, and they're gonna die much faster. It's especially good later on with Arc. At some point, basically, whenever you find like 2 spare transmutations, you can switch to Arc Mines. All you need is 3 blue. And I would rather do it when you get like Elemental Focus, and so basically after Weaver. But from Act 3, pretty much, like somewhere in Act 2, you want to switch to Arc Mines, because they're gonna do very well if you have the entire setup, right? If you have the Herald of Thunder, Skitterbots, if you have the Wave of Conviction, then your boss damage is actually gonna be pretty good. In this zone, you want to go first to the opposite side. When you look at the waypoint, like you see the road, waypoint was on the right side of the road. That means Alira is on the right side and the Weaver is on the left side, right? Weaver is always opposite of the waypoint, so that's where we're going, because we are actually going to help Alira with this run, because this is going to be a crit character, crit build, and the early game like Leaguestart, so the extra resistances, the crit multiplier, and the mana regen are all of the stats that we really want on this character. So in that case we help Alira, and that means we're gonna come talk to her last. So right now we're skipping her, we just picked up the waypoint, and we're gonna go down right now and fight the Weaver with pretty massive damage. So after the Weaver, you're gonna have Elemental Focus, Controlled Distraction, and Trap and Mine damage available. I have tested a lot of them. I have tested also like stuff with Pyroclast Mines and so on. I have found that Elemental Focus with the Skitterbots granting you the shock is the best one out of the three if you wanna like pick one of the supports for your mines. Trap and Mine damage is good, but the problem with Trap and Mine damage is that it slows your mine throwing speed by 10%, and I do not like that. I was going to like prioritize my mine throwing speed as much as possible. So if you stand here, you can stack the Weaver, and then you want to Flame Dash to proc your Arcane Surge, debuff this guy, and as you can see, he's like blown up to 20% or 15% health instantly, and he pretty much jumps up right away, so you cannot really one-shot him. Like, I don't know, if you show me someone who's at like level 17 or 16 one-shotting Weaver, then I don't know, like, and of course without like Twink gear, you know, on like on a Leaguestart, I don't think it's doable to one-shot Weaver, because with Wave of Conviction and stacking all of these mines, this is an insane damage, and it's not enough to kill him. So right now we're gonna pick up our gems, and like I said, I prioritize Elemental Focus, and you can also put Elemental Focus on your Stormblast Mine, so you can have like Stormblast Mine, Elemental Focus, added lightning damage, for example. And this is where it comes handy to have offhand weapon swap with the right sockets, because I'm still keeping the added lightning damage, and if I have a spare blue link where I can put something into a socket to add damage, I have still that added lightning damage leveling. Trying to check for ones that are gonna have a good base and good link colors, but I don't see anything, because the ideal that I would want is like quartz wand with blue green links. That would be the ideal, but I don't find it, so I'm just gonna go and do my trial now, prioritizing the blue packs. So we should be like level 17 right now, something like that, and that means that we are still not able to equip our wand recipe, but we have to gear for it pretty soon. The thing I'm missing, I think, is the rings mostly, right? So I would need 2 topaz rings. I have at least 1 essence. I know I have an essence, and then the rings are, if you don't get rings, you just need a lot of portal scrolls, right, to buy them. Sorry, not portal, wisdom scrolls. Enough wisdom scrolls to buy them, and you're gonna be fine. In the Fell Shrine Ruins, we just need to do the trial, and that's all. And after that trial, we're gonna do Kraton, which is one of the bandits. Yeah, I have 2 essences. Okay, so I just need 1 more ring. 1 more ring, and then I'm gonna be able to craft the ones. Doesn't really matter what I get on these rings. I'm gonna be, you know, using them for the recipe later anyway. Be careful when opening strong boxes. If you don't have... Oh, we found a ring. Be careful if you're opening strong boxes, because if you don't have flask with a suffix of heat, that will stop you from being frozen. You might get frozen and gangbanged by the monsters jumping out of the box. So we're gonna do the trial. The way to like save some time, you can save some time by like clicking on the trial plaque or whatever it's called. You click on that shit, and then before your character reaches it, you already press escape. When your character reaches it, then you go exit to character screen, and that's as quick as you can to log out, because you don't need to use the portal and get out of the zone and whatever. You just quickly log out and back to town. And now we're going to kill the bandits. So we're killing Kraton first, and then we're killing Oak, picking up the waypoint, and then we're helping Alira and doing the way forward quest for the skill point. because in this run I'm actually doing all of the skill point quests. We are not skipping any of them, and the character is strong enough that sure you can like come back to the skill quests later, but I prefer doing them right away and not have to, like, I don't skip much skill points. I feel like I just want to do them right away. Also, like, I'm benefiting. So here's the thing, right? You do, if you, for example, like skip Act 6 bosses, right? For skill points, or skip something in the first half of the game for skill points. Sure, you're saving a tiny bit of time because later on you're going to be faster and stronger, right? You're gonna have a better Quicksilver, better movement speed boots, and you're gonna one-shot them instead of two-shot them, right? Because you're still gonna kill them fairly easy now. But the thing that you are not taking advantage of is that you are losing load screen time, you are losing additional walking time, you are losing the time to think about, oh shit, I gotta do this skill point and that skill point. Okay, which one do I want to do first? Or type slash passives, check which ones I did and which I didn't, right? And you're also losing the time that you would gain for leveling, because killing the bosses will give you XP, and that XP is something you don't have to later like grind in Blood Aqueducts or whatever when you're catching up to the level of the story later on, right? So it does have its advantages and disadvantages, and I personally prefer to do the skill points unless I feel like my character sucks and it cannot do it reliably. But pretty much all the time, like, playing a character like this, a miner, is so powerful that you definitely can do all the skill points, no problem. So, going to Alira now, and going to help her for the crit multiplier, mana regen, and all res, which is going to help a lot. Because if you want to go fast, then gearing is one of the difficult things. As you can see, you can do vendor walk with Alira, right? You can do vendor walk with any NPC. Any NPC that you can interact with, anything that you can interact with, pretty much, you can do that. It's just how the game engine works. Making sure to kill the blue packs for the juicy XP. And then killing this guy and opening the way forward. And this is where you can go back to the first act town and not only pick up this skill point, but also I didn't pick up the Fairgraves skill point. I usually pick them up at the same time, just saves the time, right? So you want to pick up both skill points, and then you can also pick up a free gem. Should have picked up a green one. Exactly, green one, because for a topaz ring, but I do have a topaz ring anyway. And then here what you can also buy is, if you had transmutations, I'm pretty short on transmutations this run, but if you had transmutations, this is where you would buy arc and the mine support, the bust chain mine support. And from this point on, with elemental focus, you can start using that instead of the Stormblast mine. But since I don't have transmutations, I'm gonna do that a bit later. So that's basically all you get, and you can also check for like good want bases for craft. That's another thing you can check for in Act 1 town when you're there for your skill points. This layout is very tricky. This is where a lot of people get lost. Basically, there are two types of layouts that I found that you can encounter in Val Ruins. One of them is like a C loop, it's like a loop kind of, where you end up, as you can see in this one. This is either gonna go right now to the left and just do a full loop, which is what it looks like it's doing here, right? Or additionally, it can also do like an N, right? But with this layout, it's gonna go like to the left and then maybe up. Something like that. But usually you want to look for like an N or an S shape type of thing. You know, it's gonna go like, let's say, left, down, right, down, left, you know, something like that. Or it's gonna do like a full loop where you're gonna end up actually behind the entrance, right? And that's what this layout here is, as you can see. And it's very annoying, but you can find a lot of it's a pretty good XP zone, because there are a lot of monsters here. It's a pretty dense zone. if you're playing with something like Orb of Storms. Yeah, and here we are supposed to... Not sure if we're going the right way. I think we are. Yeah. So this is like a complete loop. We're ending up like right behind the entrance to the zone. And then somewhere here, as you can see, this is zone level 20. So you should be anywhere from like level 18 to 20, something like that. We found movement speed boots, which is great. So anywhere between 18 to 20, you should be starting to craft your wands, right? So you want to check for your wands and make sure that you craft some good stuff. So we got a quartz wand, which is amazing. We want to make it magic now. We want to get the other one that we have. So we make it magic. We can also risk it. If I risk it and chrome and I roll green on something, that would be great. If I roll green on one of those sockets. So I really thought hard, like, do I risk bricking it? Is it gonna be fine? Like, I have another green. Should I do it? Should I not? You know, basically you can elect to do it or not. There's also another, I chose not to do it. And as you can see, 147 or whatever damage. Oh, am I doing it? Is it gonna be, it hit green. Nice. Okay. So we got the green, for onslaught, well, we're gonna swap later. So we got blue, 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 green, blue, blue, green. And then other than that, we got 3 individual blue, blue, green, right? Because we need the Herald, Skirbots, as well as Smoke Mine. And so we're looking fine in terms of the gear. The things that we're missing, of course, okay, we don't have high resistances, and we also are missing transmutes, right? Because we need a couple of transmutes to get our arc set up. But other than that, we're fine, and our damage right now is absolutely massive. So we're gonna be here leveling so fast. The big gorillas give a lot of XP here. I think those are like one of the highest XP monsters. Usually the monsters that have more health will be giving you more XP. But there are some monsters that have differences. You can check on PoE wiki. There are basically like spreadsheets or like tables of monster XP. But I don't know if you can find monster health to try to figure out which ones are like worth killing, because they have very low health per the amount of experience they give. But definitely like skeletal archers, I found out that they're actually very good monsters to kill. Just rushing through the zone to the Val. With 2 wand crafts, Val is absolutely just a piece of cake. It's even possible to blast him, like if you have the right lengths, you can even kill him just instantly when he pops up with the adds. You can just one-shot him. In order to do that, you would need to have your mines with like elemental focus and maybe added lightning, and then also same thing like on Orb of Storms, and with the double wandcraft you can one-shot Val. So if you want to do that, you could try doing that. Here we've got a recipe for movement speed. So if you found boots that have an open prefix and you don't have movement speed yet, then 3 augmentation orbs are going to give you movement speed boots recipe. And in this zone, so caverns, you basically gonna end up, probably should go to the left, right? It's obviously going to be to the left, using the logic of like maps being kind of a square, then it has to be left. And basically once you get to Val Pyramid, the Val Pyramid is just like a pyramid. You could go higher and higher and higher, and each zone, when you go upstairs, becomes smaller and smaller, and usually you are gonna find entrance at the opposite side. So I'm starting at a bottom corner, so top corner is where I should be looking for the entrance, right? So it's gonna be like either like to the top right or to the top left. That's how you're supposed to go here. Heading here now toward the clever construction mine circle, and that's when we pick that up, we're gonna have a pretty massive amount of damage. checking my links. So Stormblast Mine with Swift Assembly, Elemental Focus, right? And then the rest is just with Onslaught. We have a blue helmet that we could potentially use currency on to craft it.
Wisdom.
And now going upstairs, and as you can see, like now it's gonna be like on the right side, right? So we should head to the right, and it's gonna be like the top right. Yep, and it's on the right side here. And last one, also we should go to the right now. Yeah, so if we go to the right, we're gonna find the stairs, and you can even see it. This is the last one is very tiny. And now, while Val is coming up, you can pick up the recipe. This is a great time to check your resistances, check your gear. You could go and teleport to town and like craft your wands at this time, for example. This is a good time to do that as well. Good time to do your inventory Tetris, throw out things you don't need. I have a GCP. Actually, I don't use the. I thought of using the GCP, but then I thought I would rather use it on Arc, if anything. So, as you can see, we instantly blew him up to like 15% health because of the Wave of Conviction and pre-stacking mines, and we could have done even more damage. So, Wave of Conviction is massive. It's absolutely massive. I definitely recommend using it. There's no other build. I guess Stormbrand, right? Stormbrand can benefit from Wave of Conviction, but like for mines, it makes the biggest difference, because you pre-stack so much damage that the percentage that you're increasing it by having the Wave of Conviction is just huge. So, Act 3, time to go through that. We still haven't done Einhar mission, and I'm probably gonna have to complete it at some point, because I want to do a flask craft like in Act 4. That's what I usually end up doing. Here, when you kill the guy to free Clarissa, what I like doing is like jumping to the side and seeing if I can kill some other monsters while I'm waiting for Clarissa to pop up, just to get some extra XP, and then go to town. And when you go to town, you go straight out to the slums. You never go to like talk to the NPCs for no reason. Like, you don't have to ever talk to NPCs for quests. You always just do the quests, you know. You should just memorize where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do without having to talk to NPCs at all. And at this point, you might wanna switch your skills a little bit. So anytime between like beginning of Act 2 to the end of Act 3, you wanna switch your setup a little bit, and from the initial Onslaught with Orb of Storms and Frostbomb and Stormblast Mine, you wanna switch to just the Orb of Storms with Onslaught and added Lightning, for example. And then you wanna have Arc with the Blast Chain Mine with Elemental Focus, for example, right? You can also use Swift Affliction, not Swift Affliction, Swift Assembly, the other Swift skill. Or you can use Trap and Mine damage, but I don't like the reduced mine throwing speed. Here we can see the trial already. You can see on minimap like the green door, the green lever, and the book, right? Whenever you see a book, it's going to be either a piece of lore or it's going to be a trial entrance. We're keeping up Onslaught fairly consistently still, so that's very nice. And then it's never gonna be down, it's gonna be always up here. When you see like these narrow cells, that's usually a dead end, and it's gonna be just up to the top. And we can see already the recipe, and when you see the recipe, you know that's where Piety stands, and she deals a lot of lightning damage. So if you have spare topaz rings or any lightning res, that will definitely help you here, because she deals a lot of lightning damage. And you do want to go like right on top of her so that she doesn't escape from your mines, because she has a tendency to run away. But if you have a good flask, then she's gonna be perfectly fine. Okay, and now in town we want to get the key and go to the sewers. We're going to be getting the busts because of course we're getting all the quests. If you have spare Scrolls of Wisdom, I recommend picking up 2 stone rings. If you have spare essences, you can craft on them as well. 2 stone rings are going to be the easiest ways of getting resistances. What you want to do is first equip them, and then when you have an like, you could even use 1 orb of chance, but what you want to do, like, use an alchemy or an essence on these, and then if you have an empty suffix, you craft additional res, and you end up getting usually like double res and also the double res from the implicit. So it's a very good base to craft on resistances. We pick up conductivity from this quest because conductivity is going to be our biggest damage boost. I should use conductivity instead of wave of conviction, I think, most of the time, because of course it gives you higher damage boost, but actually it doesn't deal damage itself. But I do want to get used to using Wave of Conviction, because later on with the Curse on Hit setup, we are going to be using Wave of Conviction anyway, so I just end up using Wave of Conviction the entire run. Cute little skip. Here in this layout, you can see this layout when what I'm walking through right now, these like little 2 squares mean that the last bust is going to be always on the left. In the sewers, so you can always know when it's gonna be on the left or when it's gonna be potentially on the right. So if there is no, like, these 2 little squares, like a T-shaped road, then you want to go down, and if it's there, if it's like this layout that I'm currently in, then you want to go up and to the left, right? And that's when you're gonna find the last bust. There are a lot of different tells in the zones, like for example in the ledge, the waypoint, if you end up using the waypoint, it will have 3 little rocks and they form like an arrow that points toward where you're supposed to go to the climb. And in Lunaris later there is another tell I'll tell you about later. Oh, we got a 4-link, that's amazing. So from level 24, this is I think level, what level zone was that? That was zone level 25. So from the time you're level 24, basically you can find 4 links in a shop, so you should check vendors and check for 4 links. And item level 25, I think, right? Item level 25 is where you can first start getting the 4 links, because when you go talk to the shop, the vendor gives you items 1 level higher than a level of your character, right? So for example, if you go to the initial vendors at level 2, after you killed Hillock, you're gonna be offered items level 3.
Wisdom.
I'm switching my gems a little bit around. I don't know what I end up at. I actually didn't end up changing anything. Because I was trying to like switch, prepare if I'm gonna be switching to the 4-link. But with the 4-link, definitely wanna swap to Arc. Like, Arc starts feeling really good when you have a 4-link. Because early on, it's kind of like the early links matter so much with Arc, because at first you have Arc and Blast Chain Mine, so you're still not adding any damage. In fact, the Blast Chain Mine actually reduces the damage of the spell itself. It's just that you can stack multiple of them. But once you get some extra links on that, like a 5-link and then 6-link, Arc feels really, really amazing with that. I'm still not picking up any life. After the Clever Construction, I probably should pick up life. Always skip this Fairgraves quest for, like, I even don't remember what item he gives. Does he give you like a belt or amulet or something? I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've done that quest because it's completely useless. It's not worth doing. Like, the amount of time it takes to do that, and then you have to go to the garden and then give him another item. Jesus Christ. I don't know why this quest even exists. We go to Battlefront. In Battlefront, if you are at least level 24, then you want to go first to the docks, in my opinion. I don't like going to Solaris first and then going out of it and then back to it. It's just, you know, wasting time for loading screens. You want to pick up this waypoint, pick up this item, and head to docks. And that way you're gonna just pick up the items from docks and go straight to Solaris and be done with it, you know. That's all. There is a skip in docks sometimes. You always want to go up in docks, right? In docks you always want to go to the like northwest, because you can get a crazy skip or less crazy skip sometimes. But as you can see here, you can already see this quest. So this is like the quickest possible docks layout that you can find. And because we are high enough level, we can just fuck off from there and continue in the Solaris, and we don't need to farm extra levels. Okay, right now, why was I going to there? I'm looking for, yeah, I want to switch to the items. Yeah, I wanted to go by arc, but then I realized I don't have transmutations. Yeah, I don't have transmutations, so I cannot buy arc, so I'm gonna need to pick up a bunch of transmutations to do that, because I used mine. I used one of them for Scrolls of Wisdom for sure, and then we had to spend some on the ones to make them magic for the craft.